Okay, my name is David Sankel. I'm from Bloomberg, and I'm going to do an introduction to concepts in 5 minutes. We're going to go very fast, so if you want to get it, you got to pay attention because you're going to fall off the bus if you don't. Crud. Boom. Okay, first thing you got to remember about concepts is that they're fun. That means -F concepts. If you want to use it, just -F concepts. Just think fun concepts. That's how you do it with GCC. F concepts. Download the latest version of GCC. You can do it and play with it. It's pretty easy to do. All right, first thing we want to solve with concepts is that you have a template. Not all template parameters work with that. You try to put it with an in, it might not compile or whatever, you get this crazy error message. It'd be nice to be able to specify, without getting a crazy error message, exactly what it is you want to constrain your template with. That's what concepts are for. So requires, that's how you do it. Use two requires. I know this syntax is absolutely insane, but that's what it is. So you say, after your template, you say requires. What you put in the parentheses over there, and that looks like a function declaration at the top, that's saying, given an f of type func, given an I that's of type int, this expression f of I needs to be valid. That's it. So this is an example of like some kind of function that needs to have a callable type. So another thing you can do is, because a lot of times you care about what the return value of that expression is, they introduce a special syntax. You just take your expression, put it in curly brackets, put an arrow, and that's the expected return type. So like if you have an iterator and you want to make sure that I++ also returns an iterator, you use something like this. It's really convenient syntax. Another really convenient thing is if you want the return type to be like a vector of something, you don't want it to be necessarily a vector of int or a vector of char, just a vector of anything. You just put auto in there, and it just uses that as a placeholder for the return value of whatever that expression is. So you can use that all over the place. It's kind of cool. Next thing about it, so here we use requires, so use it to do your what are we talking about again? Concepts. Yeah, you put your concept inline. If you want to take an outline and give it a name, this is the way you do that. You just do like template, type name func, concept bool, who knows why. But concept bool, int function, equals requires, and everything's the same. Now remember, this case we do one requires. Okay, the other one was requires, if it's inline, this is just one requires. Okay, that's how it works. If you want to use this thing now you have a named concept, you just use one requires, and then you put the concept. Okay, because if two requires isn't enough, you want to have one require, but that wasn't enough either because this is kind of verbose, so you can have 0 requires as well. If you want 0 requires, instead of putting type name in your template parameter, you put the name of the concept that you want to constrain with. So template int function func, that's the equivalent of what we saw in the previous slide. But some people thought that this was way too verbose, so there's another way that you can make it less verbose. I call this -1 requires. You just take it and put it in the function declaration itself, like where you normally put the type. You put the concept there, it automatically recognizes this thing as a template and constrained with this particular thing. So that's concepts in 5 minutes, but actually I've only been 2 minutes and 18 seconds, and you know what that means. Bonus slide. So, bonus slide, this is something that's kind of weird. So if you have a requires clause, and what you want to do is you want to constrain this particular concept with another concept, like here we're using int function like we had before. Like for example, if you have a concept which you want to be a callable object, which takes a callable object as a parameter, this actually, you cannot do it. This is completely impossible with the current concepts TS, which is extremely annoying because this was the first concept that I tried to write, and apparently it was impossible. So yeah, there's no plans to actually do this and make this work, although it would be extremely useful. So I'm not too sad about concepts not making C++ 17. Seems like it needs some more work, and there's a lot of requirements, as you can see. That's the end.